Thanks so much for having me. I'm Daniela. I grew up in Mexico City, but have lived about half my life already in the United States. My family, they're Arizona native families. So did my bachelor's degree out in Arizona, did continued education out in London, all in the realm of economics. And after that, I had a career in management, logistics, sales, marketing at PepsiCo for a while before I decided to apply to go get my MBA. Moved to Boston to get my MBA at Harvard Business School. And it was during Harvard when I cross-registered into MIT and started my career, say, as an AI developer. And that's where my company Wipp was born. And Wipp, what we're doing is essentially a civic intelligence system where we map networks of influence inside of the US government to track the best pathways to mobilize important lawmakers and key decision players in certain areas of policy that have an effect on particular industries.
Brilliant. And what was the problem that first sparked the idea for the company?
I think the lack of transparency in government, it's very difficult to know who's making decisions, why they're making those decisions. It's difficult to track how political discourse evolves as a politician decides just to change opinions. And a lot of times, especially using data, you can begin to see that it's not random chaos, but rather there's many levers that influence one another. And we wanted a way to be able to visualize that to help people make more strategic decisions and not have to behave in such a reactive way to whatever the government does do.
Yeah, it makes sense. Brilliant. And I know you've been working on the business for a while now. So, if you reflect, were there any particular early bets or early sacrifices that proved fruitful for you?
I mean, absolutely. Like, I think it's difficult for anybody to take the leap onto entrepreneurship. It's really, I think I'm like a firm believer in the fact that if I hadn't fully committed to the idea of I'm doing this and I'm going to cut off all optionality, it really would not have worked, at least not up until now. And I think it was the sacrifice of one, you're in the middle of your MBA at a arguably very, very good school. And there is a lot of resources, a lot of people that want to, hire you, a lot of optionality in that sense. So the idea of not looking in that direction and really believing in just a vision that you have is in its own way an emotional sacrifice, definitely a financial sacrifice. And I think it's paid off because to really be successful in this world, you have to commit to only doing this.
Yeah, good. Good message to pass on to others. And what's one thing that you know now about building out a startup that you didn't necessarily know before founding the business?
There's like a million things.
One that stands out the most?
One that stands out the most. I think finding the right partners is something that I struggled with a lot at the beginning. I think I optimized for building with friends and people that I knew as just people that I liked being around with more than I really did in terms of judging like professional aspirations and making sure we had a value alignment in that sense. Something that I really wish I had known is one of the most important things that you can find in a business partner is a shared sense of commitment for the venture that you're building. Because when things get tough, when times are just not, rainbows and sunshines and everything, it's really the mindset of staying put and keep going that carries you through as a startup more than anything else. And if your partners lack it, it can be very difficult to move forward yourself too.
Yeah, as you said, if you've come to the conclusion you are going all in on this, then you ultimately need partners that are kind of with the same mindset, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And how did you convince your first investor or your first client to believe in the vision that you've got for the company?
I'll start with my first investor, but my first investor was somebody that had been working with me, moonlighting for the startup. And for personal reasons, they couldn't continue on as an employee here, but wanted to invest in the success of the company. And I think like at my very early stage, it's a lot of bet on the founder more than a bet on the business, because there's no metrics to really track from. Everything is predictions. So I think the development and the deepening of those relationships are really like what it was, like getting them to know you, your work ethic, showing and showcasing that in every little thing that you do really helps move the needle. And I think it's applicable to our first customers as well. They believe in a vision that, will one day deliver a technology that we're promising. And that's, I think, just a lot of show of trust in between the two parties.
Yep. Okay. And when you're going to be hiring for people to join the business, how are you personally going to try and spot that startup DNA in candidates?
Yes, I think, like I said, I've had the struggle with this, right? In terms of finding good business partners and commitment. I think an easy filter is, do you have startup experience? Like, have you seen this world before and do you enjoy it? But it is, I think, like startup DNA, right? Like I didn't know how much I loved this until I worked at my first startup. And then that's when I said, wow, I will never look back. And in terms of like spotting future talent for it, it's really like appealing to somebody that above everything values creativity, values autonomy, values the scrappiness and the finding new pathways to success that are just innovative.
Yeah, brilliant. And building in Boston, have there been today any particular local mentors, meetups, resources that have been beneficial for yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the beauty of Boston, right? Like you're in such a incredible community of talent between, the hundreds of universities you have in Massachusetts, and then a lot of them are concentrated in the Boston area. So there's a lot of great thinkers. There's a lot of like curious people and academic exploration that's constantly just thriving through the city. And you're just plugged in by mere fact of like living near those places. And I also found my advisor to the startup through the MIT and Harvard network, and she's been absolutely invaluable in me being able to get this off the ground.
Yeah, brilliant. And then lots of positives there, but on the flip side, have there been any frustrations of, building out in Boston today, or has it all been positives from your perspective?
There's maybe like a bit of frustrations, I think. Every city has its own flavor in what they concentrate of. Like Boston is not San Francisco. I think that certain aspects of an AI startup, raising money, getting people to demo, finding tech talent, it's all easier when you're out west. And here, Boston, it's a heavily healthcare city, biotech city, and if you're not necessarily building in that space, it can be kind of isolating because most resources get allocated into that industry. So that's one frustration, but thankfully the world is, I think, connected enough to where you can circumvent that. Yeah, absolutely. You've touched on the fact that you've learned a lot today being an entrepreneur. What's the best piece of advice you might pass on to first-time entrepreneurs that are kind of finding their way currently? I think I'll go back to the mindset piece of it. I wish I had someone telling me that it's completely normal to think that you want to quit and give up like 3 times a week. That's okay. It's part of the journey to have extremely low lows and extremely high highs, and it's something that you experience it sometimes in a 24-hour turnover kind of situation. And the only thing that really gets you going is willpower. And they say 9 out of 10 startups fail. I genuinely believe that a lot of the startups that do fail, it ends up being a lack of willpower from the founders more than anything, because pivots are normal. Finding customers, there's a plethora of like customers and capital in the world. It's really just can you keep going when you're almost going against the tide of the world.
Yeah, and apart from that strong willpower, is there anything else that works for you personally in terms of kind of dealing with those highs and lows that are naturally going to come your way?
Yeah, it's cliche, but I would say surround yourself with a community of founders. It's so much easier when you have people around in your life that are going through the same ups and downs, that are seeing the same things that you can use as resources. There isn't really like a great school to go learn how to be an entrepreneur, I think. And a lot of times you learn from your peers. So it's building that community from day one.
Yeah, perfect. Well, listen, look, thanks very much, Daniela, for sharing your thoughts. Really enjoyed speaking to you today, and best of luck for yourself and Wipp moving forward.
Thank you so much, Chris. I appreciate it. Take care too.